Hey, it's Deborah Atkinson, host of the Voice for Fitness Professionals podcast, and I'm here for breaking a long sabbatical, if you will. So for a long streak of time, I was doing a video for all of you on marketing and sales, and we've switched so heavily to blogging, sending out things to our private group and our mastermind group, and doing podcasts that we've ignored our YouTube population. So we're going to resurrect that just a little in these next 30 days. And today is all about the beginning of the year and starting super strong. So here's where this comes from. These last 2 years, 2016, 2017, at the end of the year, inevitably, for you as well as for me, there's a big push, and I always think of, it's not January, that's the biggest month of the year for me. It's the last 2 weeks of December that sets my next January in place and pace for what is going to be true of it. But actually, I make more revenue during the last week, the last 2 weeks for sure, of December than I do any other month of the year, including January, because I've got my people conditioned to get started, to get going, to take advantage of the bonuses, not the discounts, because we really don't want to have to start off with discounting your services, because you're not any dumber, right? You're smarter and you're more qualified. So it's so much better to add bonuses that then go away. So they're getting less for the same amount. It feels similar to them, but to you, it feels so much better because you don't have to discount and just sell more volume in order to make up the money you lost on the discount. So here's why we get stuck not doing that. In a lot of cases, when I'm talking to people and I'm looking at their emails because I'm on their email list, what is happening is we've got this fear of selling. And so we go about it just in a really soft sell way. So when you're emailing to your customers, your prospects, instead of directly asking for the sale and saying, here specifically is what I can do for you. If you're interested in this, let's get started in offering them something free so they get on a list, and then you walk them down the path to a sale where you ask them to become your client. But at the end of the emails, typically this is what we're doing instead. Does this sound familiar? We say something like, if there's anything I can do for you, or all of our trainers are standing by ready to help you, just reach out, just let us know. Email us for a consultation or give us a call to make an appointment for your free consultation. And we think we're being really generous, and we also think we're giving them their space, so they won't feel like we're pushy or salesy or sleazy, which is the last thing we want to be. And I'm on board with that. I don't either. But what we don't realize is people are not going to take advantage of that, because you and I and they are all conditioned to not want to intrude, right? We don't want to be a nuisance. I mean, how many of you agree with this? My dad would have given anybody the shirt on his back, but he would never have asked anyone for their shirt, ever, right? And, we're all so similar. We're not going to do that. So how many times has it been really hard for you? One of the hardest things you've ever had to do, so much that it could bring you to tears. I've been there. When you had to ask for help, when you were just that down and out or struggling, so frustrated that you had to ask for help, it is really hard. One of the hardest things we do. And if you can agree with that, realize that's what's going on for your customer too. They're not going to ask for help. You've got to tell them and walk them through the steps of what's next. So when you're emailing, what you really want to do, if you're going for that low-hanging fruit, the people who are already ready to go, is leave that soft selling out. The stuff that's when you're ready, or if I can do anything for you, reach out, and don't do it. Literally, you're going to go for those 5-star customers that love you. And think of who they are. Who are the people who buy most frequently from you? And who, if you do it, they're going to take a good look at it because they've done programs you've offered in the past. they've had great successes, they had a great customer experience, and they know they want to work with you. That's who you want to write to. And even if those are very few customers right now because you're just getting started, or you're really working on your customer service game and upping it, okay, then still think about those people, because when you write to those people, you write with confidence. So think about who are your best buyers, and never end week with that. If there's anything I can do for you, you'll never sell something. So try to avoid using your e-letter as an announcements or a bulletin board. Now, few of us use a bulletin board in-house anymore because nobody looks at them, right? It's like noise pollution, eye candy pollution. We just don't see those things. And we pretty much know that that's true because there are so many messages coming at any of us on any given day that we don't hear them, we don't see them, we just don't respond to them. So if that's true, what you've got to know is you've got to be very, very specific with the one thing to the one person that you really want to reach. Come back to that 5-star buyer, the one who really loves everything you do and takes a good look at what you're offering and how it's going to benefit them. That's who you want to be talking to in your mind when you sit down to write your email, or if you are creating a video, or if you are creating a podcast or just an audio recording. Talk to the person, the one person who loves your stuff, and get in their head. You know who they are. You know who you wrote the programs for, right? So think about that person, their needs, their wants, the space they come in their head, what they used to do or what they've tried that doesn't work, and write to them. Go deep in what that one person needs, as opposed to write a mass email letter to your entire list talking about all of your possible programs, thinking what of those programs will be right for one of those people on that list, because it just doesn't work like that. That's like the bulletin board with 25 things on it, and unless you are going to the classified ads looking for one specific thing like a high chair, you're cruising through it looking for high chair, baby things, you're not gonna, unless you are going to the classifieds looking for one specific thing, you're coasting through it looking for maybe a high chair. So you're gonna look for baby items or children's things or high chair. That's what you're looking for. And if I'm a person, I'm looking for a new hairstylist, right? I'm gonna look for somebody who's good at cutting short hair, right? Who's good at that. I don't want somebody who's good at cutting long hair or doing updos for weddings, as it's not gonna help me out, right? So I'm looking for something really specific, and no matter what it is, shoes, hair care, skin care, we all are looking for something pretty specific, not something generic. We don't go looking for, I want the generic. Have you seen those? They've pretty much disappeared because we're all back to wanting something really specific. So be thinking about that when you're doing your messaging with your emails. And the reason I made the most in those last 2 weeks of December in 2016 and in 17 is because I got over my fear, or felt the fear, and I kept doing it anyway. I sent more emails than I was comfortable doing, but I was selling something specific, and I was selling it to a specific person that I wanted in that group. I didn't want everybody in that group. I wanted people who really want the things that I've already sold them. They were in programs, and this is their next step. And I talked to that need. And I also said who this isn't for. Probably not for the person who's just taking the first step with me, because we go in depth about the program and the way we recommend exercise, nutrition, and the type and the timing of it. We talk about the exercise and the way we've scheduled it in our programs. We talk about the philosophy of what we're cutting out, what we're including in our day. All of that wouldn't make sense to a newcomer, and I let them know that. And you want to be thinking about how to use screen so that you are repelling and turning some people away, and how you're attracting the very right people. Maybe a smaller pool of people, but if you're going for a smaller pool of the right people, you're going to be so much better off than if you go for this broad target where whatever you're saying is not a good fit. So always come back to, am I talking to my 5-star buyers, the ones who love what I've done, who are ready for the next thing, who will resonate with the words that I'm using. And I'm thinking not just about, okay, 5-star buyers, people who love me, but you're thinking about 5 of those names that you can recall, Betty and Lucy and Bonnie and Sally, and I don't know who they are, but you do. You should. Who are your best buyers? Think about them. What's going through their head? What frustrates them? What do they want more of right now? What do they need less of? What would be a great supplement for helping them get, and I don't mean vitamin, micronutrient, or protein. I mean, what would be the next complementary program? The next upsell, a service that would complement what they're doing so they get even better results. That's what I'm talking about. So if you have 5-star customers, when you check into a hotel, it's a 5-star hotel, they always give you the opportunity of upgrading so you can have the beach view, right? Now you might turn it down, but it's always there, and you don't get a yes if you don't ask. And similar to you. So give them the opportunity by talking to them directly with who they are, where they've been, what they've done with you, and imagine that you're creating a program just for them. And last but not least, to make the most out of conversations with your 5-star buyers, you don't necessarily have to have built it yet. You let them know, send out the email. I'm starting this next exclusive program. We'd like to trial it with a very select group of our customers who've had excellent success and we know would be great candidates for taking this one step further to even better their success and their results. And we'd love to know if you're interested. And that's it. So you're going to get a little, questioning back, but thinking, from the kind of response, you're probably going to get a, yes or a no, this isn't the right time for me. And you'll have people on a list. Now you can take those names and be thinking, what is the next thing they actually need? And give them a few details. This is how much it's going to cost. These are how many weeks it's going to be. Let them buy it and pay for it before you even build it. That's the way to use those 5-star buyers that you've already got, you've worked really hard for, who love what you're doing. And then let them take you one step further. If you've got questions, drop them below. But this is the time of year to really be thinking like this, thinking big, thinking broad, thinking about possibilities. And no matter what you're doing in personal training, a lot of times you spend a lot of time alone or a lot of time behind the computer when you're not with a client. And that's when your little secondary thoughts or the little voice inside of your head can grab a hold of you and fill you with doubts. So keep coming back to something that fills you up with, there are ways to do it. There are small actionable items just like this that you can take that get you right back on track, right back into that positive mindset, and get you a positive response pretty quickly. So leave me your questions or comments below, and until next time, make a difference.